Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Kyle here with Family Firearm Reviews. We're going to do another table talk and we're going to look at the Ruger Lite Rack 380. So this is the Security 380 Lite Rack from Ruger. We're going to look at disassembly. We're going to look at what it comes with in the box. We're going to do a nice little overview of the firearm like we do with some of the other ones. So if this is something that you're thinking about purchasing, we'll give you a couple of the ins and outs. We'll give you the empty weight, the carry weight with the 15 round mag and the 10 round mag. And we'll show you that. So let's get down onto the table. So now that we're down on the table, we're going to get right into the Ruger. Of course, we've got our Ruger box. We get the normal paperwork we get with it. We have our manual. We have the transfer paperwork where I picked this up from. We have kind of the warranty info. We get our sticker. We get our thank you. And everything Ruger so you can get different pieces and parts for your firearm. Once you get into the box, we have our nice congratulations from Ruger. We have our nice little firearm laid out here. And we're going to get the firearm out here. We're going to get the mag out, show that it's unloaded. Take this little rubber band off that has the nice little name of the firearm on it. We're going to pull out the other magazine. We do get a mag loader here. So that's nice because this is a light rack. It wants to help people load the firearm. And then we do get an additional base plate and our typical gun lock with the firearm. Other than that, we do have the little tool that came in with a flag. But of course, once I got home, you have to check it out. When you're in the store, you're checking it out. So I took that out already. So we'll set the box off to the side. And we'll start diving into what the firearm came with. So as you can see, we did get two magazines here. We got a 15 rounder and a 10 rounder. So the 15 rounder does have a sleeve on it. As you can see, we can move that up and down. And you can take it off if it's something you don't like. Some people say things like that pinch your hand. But then when you do put it into the firearm, you are going to have that little grip there, right? It's going to have a nice little empty spot. But when we have this, I haven't noticed any issues with it yet. It fits nicely over the mag. You get it in there. And you do have a little gap here, but it's not enough to really, I think, pinch your hand. You do have a little bit of play. But it does end up making part of the grip on the firearm. Now we throw the 10 rounder in. You can see you can still pretty much get a full purchase on the firearm, full grip with that pinky extension. That's the way it fits in there. Nothing to really pinch your finger. But if you wanted something a little bit more concealable, they do give you an additional base plate. And those are always pretty easy to take off. You can just depress this piece, it slides off. Make sure you keep that spring captured underneath or it'll come flying out. And then you just slide the new one on. Once you get it on, make sure it clicks. So new base plate installation, pretty quick and simple. And that gives you that. And even with that, I can almost get my whole hand on there. But if you look, I have maybe a third of my pinky off of the firearm now. So you can still pretty much get a full grip, but you're losing that little extra. But 380 is kind of light. But this is kind of targeted towards the people who may have grip strength issues. So I'm not sure that's the way they would want to go. So I'm going to pop the other one back on. Because we are going to check the weights of this later. We're going to load this up after we get through some of the features and checking this out on the table. So easy installation. Push that back down again. You're able to slide that back on there. And your mag's all back together. So we'll set those off to the side for now with the mag loader. We're going to start diving into the firearm itself. Now what we have here is the light rack. So manipulating this slide is very easy regardless of how I'm pulling it. Press checks are nice and easy with this firearm. It's very comfortable, and I was really surprised on how well it felt in my hand when I was out there. So now let's get into the numbers. So with the numbers on this, you're running a 3.42 inch barrel on this firearm. You're running the overall length on the firearm of 6.52 inches. So it's pretty good. Small firearm right in there with a lot of the other striker fired. Now height, we're going to be running a 4.35 inch height, but our width right here, we're running a 1.02 inch. So it's just over an inch in thickness, which is really nice for that concealability. Now the trigger pull on this firearm, we're going to check that out. So let's see here. Depress that trigger safety. Get a pretty good wall right there. Goes off. Check that reset. Does have quite a bit. You got to go out quite a far way. There's the reset. And then we fire again. Now you can see there is actually a trigger stop inside the trigger guard right there. If I can put my finger behind there and you can see it. That's what's actually stopping that trigger from going back, but there is quite a bit of take up there just to get the reset. So it is kind of a far creep. We'll do it again. It'll come all the way out here. You heard it reset, and then come through this wall again and back on it. Now this is internally hammer fired, and we're going to check that out today. That trigger pull is running around 4 pounds, 4 ounces, and with that 10 to 15 round capacity, I think this is going to be a great little package. Now as we go around the firearm, we do have that typical Ruger stippling on those securities. It's very kind of sandpapery, so when you do have it, I believe it's going to have good grips, but it doesn't run all the way up under the beaver tail. You know, there's some flat surfaces here, no texturing along the lower part of the frame, and no texturing right here. So I think that's kind of a downside. I think they could have put a little bit more texture here, maybe some gas pedal, because this is all kind of set up for the right-handed person. But I know concealed carry, they don't want too much aggressive texture because you are going to be, you know, having it all day rubbing on you. We do have a frame-mounted safety right here. Pushing it up, right? Have to have it cocked, push it up, push it up. Swiping it down, it's really actually kind of harder to put on than it is to take off. So I don't think you're going to bump it by accident, accidentally, you know, hit that while you are trying to shoot the firearm in a stressful situation. It's in a very intuitive spot that when I grip the firearm, I can swipe right down, get my grip set up. My slide stop, slide release is right here. It's very easy to actuate. I want to push down and allow that slide to come forward. Very quick, very nice. Good reaching distance for someone. You can see both are right there. You know, flipping off, flipping on, hitting that release when you're reloading or when you're going. It does have a right-handed mag release, and it does look like it's swappable because you have the same cut on this side of the firearm. You do have a pretty generous trigger guard in there for somebody that, you know, maybe wearing gloves or mittens, especially with our concealed carry nowadays. You never know if it's gonna be warm or cold. So that's kind of a nice thing. And, you know, when I go out to the range, I always try to run, you know, even when it's warm out, I try to wear some gloves, run a couple mags through so I can see if it's easy to get in there with a set of gloves. We do have front and rear slide serrations. The rear ones are very nice, very aggressive, and they do flare out in the rear. There's a little ear right here at the very last one that makes it a little bit thicker, so it's easier to grip them. We do have some right down here on the front, and it's not really kind of useful. They're pretty low on the slide, but there are cuts in the slide that if you were going to grip, you could easily press check that firearm with these little divots, right? So they did take some weight out of the firearm that way, you know, made some holes in the slide on each side. I think that's to reduce weight, but if you are firing this for quite some time or you're out on the range doing some practices, I think press checking here is going to get hot, so you're going to, you know, definitely want to have gloves. But I mean, the rackability of this slide is really, I mean, compared to anything I've had, is really easy. I even think this is easier than the equalizer we did a few weeks earlier. So we're going to definitely have to do a table talk of the equalizer and compare the two. You do have a set of nice sights. You have the green fiber optic front. You have a serrated rear. It's just the typical U. They are not night sights, so if you wanted to upgrade, you could do that. And you can adjust the rear sight if you needed to. Now, if we look at the rest of the firearm, you have a full pick rail on the front, and we did put our flashlight on there. It worked well during the firing of the firearm. Everything was pretty comfortable on there. It didn't fall off. So you're going to be restricted just due to the length of the pick rail, but you do have 3 slots. So if you wanted to run a light laser, you could easily do that. Now, something I do like is this. So Ruger did kind of put a little branding on there, but they filled maybe where there'd be an empty spot. So funneling those mags in here is really easy. It's kind of tapered into there. You're not going to have an issue of running into maybe that hollow spot like Glocks or other firearms do have. As you can see, those mags go right in there very easily. The mags do shoot out pretty good. They're not super aggressive, but if I hold it at a 45, they're still going to release. I'm able to pull them out. I don't have to strip them out. Now, one of the downsides to this is the takedown. It's not the typical, you know, pull the trigger, you know, pull back, flip a lever. You actually have to pull this little tab out. So what it says, you rack it back, you get here. In the manual, I think they said use a screwdriver, but I can usually get my fingernail in there. You've got to pull this small pin out, and then the firearm comes apart. So we're going to start with the lower right now, and you can see we have our safety where we have our red dot, we have our slide stop, slide release, and you do have a nice set of generous rails on this firearm. So I think wear and tear is going to be good. You know, some of those other firearms we have out there, they have small rails here in the front, in the back, but these ones run all the way pretty much from about a third back the trigger guard all the way to the rear of the firearm. You can see right here is our hammer. So it is that hammer fired. Right there is our hammer up. So internally hammer fired, that's a pretty nice feature. It's going to give you that nice light 4-pound trigger that it is. And as you can see, we can easily push that back down so we can get this back together easier. You can see where your trigger's at, where your trigger safety is, your mag release. It's definitely a light firearm, right? I think the total weight of this when we were looking at it was 19.7 ounces unloaded. Now we're going to put that to the side. We're going to run to the slide. As you can see, we have our recoil spring. So we have a captured recoil spring inside of there. We have our Ruger barrel. And then we have our slide. So there is a little cut in the top here. So again, to reduce weight, and you can definitely see through those holes now, right? You can see where they did the cuts to make it a little bit lighter for carry. They have some nice indentations here on the sides, as you can see. So it's a very light slide. Well, we can actually weigh the slide. So let's grab our trusty dusty scale here. We'll see what the slide by itself weighs. So it does feel pretty light. We're all zeroed out. We'll sit the slide on there. So the slide is 8.5 ounces. So it's a pretty light slide. So reassembly is pretty easy, right? We get our barrel in. We have our spring, and this actually goes forward. This open hole goes forward. The solid piece goes to the rear, so it is directional. So you have to pay attention to that when you're putting it back together. Put that on. You've got your slide all the way back together. It is a little dirty. We did take this out and shoot it, but we wanted to get through here. We get to slide this back on, and then what we do is all we have to do is hold this back a little bit. We orient the pin. We got to have the groove, so there's a big groove in this. Make it go to the upward side like this so you can put your finger back inside of it. Get that slid in there, get it to click, and we're ready to go. You can rack it back, and then you can even test fire it safe direction. Okay, and you do have actually a hammer indicator right here, so you can see when it's cocked, there's the hammer, and then you'll be able to see when you pull the trigger. Boom, there goes the hammer. So that's another nice feature. Now it is a glass-filled polymer lower, which is very nice. It keeps it very light. We have an alloy steel barrel and an alloy steel frame. Internally hammer fired is really going to make this, a really solid firearm. I think very crisp trigger for a concealed carry. So now we're going to get into the weights. We're going to do unloaded weights with each mag, and then we're going to load it up with some Fiocchi hollow points, kind of to simulate a carry weight. So now we're going to weigh the firearm. We're going to check the weight of just the firearm itself. So we're getting 1 pound, 1 ounce. With the 10-round mag unloaded, we have 1 pound, 3.6 ounces. And with the 15-round mag, we are running 1 pound, 4.2 ounces. So we are going to take this, we're going to simulate one in the chamber. We're going to put the 11 on there. We are going to fill these mags up. So we do have some 90 grain Fiocchi 380 ammo. Now these are hollow points. So we could kind of simulate a defense load, as you can see. They're hollow points. So we're going to load this 10 rounder up first. And we could even use the mag loader, I guess, would be a good thing. So we'll get these loaded up on there. Oop. So this is just kind of your simple mag loader. It's not as nice as the one where you have the little trigger where you can pull. So we'll get these loaded. Okay, so there's 10, all the way marked down to 10. We're going to set that one off the side. Going to load the 15 rounder up, and I'm going to see how hard these are actually to load without the mag loader. So that's actually pretty easy. You really don't have to push too hard. And the markings on these start at 4 rounds. So you'll be able to tell when you're down to 4. If you get, to the 3 mark, you're not going to be able to tell when you're all the way empty like some of the mags. But at least they give you that. So they are all the way, marked all the way to the bottom, and that piece that makes up the rest of the grip on the larger mag doesn't block any of the holes. So even when you have that, you can tell when you're at 15 all the way. So I've got 3 more rounds to put in after that. And then we'll pull one out. We're not going to put one in the chamber. We're just going to sit it off to the side of the scale because I am in the house, even though I'm in a safe space. I do not want to accidentally load it. So you can see 14, 15 is marked on that one. So let's bring the scale back over. We get the firearm. Let me grab one of the rounds. So we're going to put the mag in the firearm. We're going to sit it on the scale. Try to square that up better for you guys. Okay. So we're looking at 1 pound, 9.4 ounces fully loaded with the 15 rounder, if that would simulate one in the chamber. Now we're going to drop that mag. We're going to put this magazine in. This is the 10 rounder, so you'd have 10 plus 1 would give you 11. And we're running at 1 pound, 7.2 ounces. So it's not a very heavy firearm, even with a larger one. You're not going to get a ton of imprint with the firearm. Just to show we are clear, everything is out of the firearm. I'm going to leave this hammered back for the rest of the time. I believe this is a great little package we have here. I think getting these rounds through it is super important. We did get it out to the range. We did have a lot of fun shooting it. Lauren was able to rack it very easily. I think we're going to have to throw a comparison up here with some of the other Lite Rack firearms that are coming out. But I hope this was informational. I hope you guys got something good out of it. I hope this helped, and thanks for coming to my table talk. I'll see you guys later.
Thanks for watching our video. Make sure to hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. If you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel.
Comment below. We want to hear from you. Get more content from family firearm reviews by joining our Patreon and checking out the links in the description.